This is Don't Fear Grit with Rob Taormina. Marketing strategies and advertising technologies to help you build a better business.
Welcome to episode 1 of Don't Fear Grit. I'm your host, Rob Taormina, where we are going to dissect marketing strategies and advertising technologies to help every person in business grow their business. And to give this show a little bit of context, I figured let's get back into my history to give some credibility. I mean, you're going to want a reason to tune in, right? Who is this random guy who's talking to you with authority on various subjects? So just to give a little bit of context, not to show off or to brag, it's just exactly what it is, just to give some credibility to help you guys feel confident that I'm coming from a place where I have been there and I've done that. I've used a lot of these things and all these best practices that I'm delivering to you. These are things that I've actually used and been successful with. My first real entrepreneurial start came when I was a teenager in the late 1990s. I know being able to say that, I'm not going to say dates myself because I'm really not that old, but I've been at this for a while, and my first real entrepreneurial start came in the late 90s when I started an antique and art business, and it was fully e-commerce. It was one of the first e-commerce websites, if not the first, for that particular industry. And I did really well for a teenager entering a space and just injecting myself into a space that was already filled with stereotypes as it related to people who were selling antiques and artwork. In comes this blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid, and I did pretty well. I was able to sell this stuff all over the world, and it was a really simple model. Is I would buy low from one place and connect it with a buyer in another place of the world, and I leveraged the internet to do that 100% of the time. 100% of my transactions were all done on the internet, and what came of that is a skill set that at the time there was no label for. There was no such thing as internet marketing. Now there's like college courses for it. But I developed a skill set for something that later on became a valuable tool and skill set, and that is what I then rolled into 2 other businesses where now over the past decade I've built 2 7-figure businesses, and I rely 100% on all things digital, all things technology, all things internet, and I just immerse myself into that world. And it's something that I'm passionate about, something that I've become pretty good at, and it's something that I've now not just been able to monetize for myself, but now I help other clients that represent lots of different industries all over the world and leverage it to make money themselves. And that's what this show is about. When I first started, I didn't have a mentor that said, you need to do this. I mean, I had some really great people around me that inspired me, who encouraged me, that said I could do things if I kept on just trying. But I had no one that told me, all right, you need to sign up for this. You need to learn how to do this. You need to take this course. You need to read this. You need to start this bank account. You need to connect consumers. You need to understand the psychology behind consumer communication, business communication. Like, there's so many aspects of running a business or starting a business or growing a business that it doesn't come with sort of the instruction manual of just being passionate about the business. And that's the real premise of this show, of why I wanted to do Don't Fear Grit, is to provide resources to people who are in a managerial position or running a business or looking to start a business or have a business, and they're looking to take that next step and really help it to grow, and they don't know what that next step is or where to get the resource. You know, I want to be that mentor to the people, that mentor that I didn't have. I want to be that right now to as many people as I possibly can, to just sort of uncover and unpack all these sort of secret tips of the trades, if you really want to even call it that, that I've been able to, by just default of doing, really, trial and error, and maybe I can save someone time. Maybe I can educate someone and to encourage them to take that next aggressive, ambitious step today versus a couple years from now by just showing them what that next step is. And that's really what the premise of the show is. And so that's why we are going to really dissect. When I say that we're going to dissect marketing strategies and advertising technologies, I absolutely mean it. And some of the bonus content is going to be related to leadership as well, because part of growing a business and understanding a good understanding and being able to draft a good marketing strategy is being able to understand the psychology behind a lot of this stuff. So we're going to be also talking about various leadership qualities. And we're going to bring a lot of people onto the show. I've been fortunate to be able to develop really great sound relationships with some really successful people, really influential people. And we're going to bring them as part of this show and get their perspective on their life and how they were able to grow their businesses. We're going to bring some really great new tech startups, some old tech startups, bring them in to have them talk about some of their technologies and how small businesses and large businesses can use these technologies to do a better job. That's ultimately what it's about. So this show is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really passionate about it. The people that have been involved with sort of getting the ball rolling with the show, I know we're all really excited about it too. And I know some of the people that I've already lined up over the next few shows, they can't wait to get into the studio to record it because we feel like this is something that has meant a lot to us, and we can relate to that moment in our business career where we became passionate about doing something. We just did not know how to execute it, and if we had that one person or that one tool that showed us how to execute what we were passionate about, that perhaps we would have been able to progress a little bit sooner. So I'm honored and I'm pumped to be able to provide this as a resource to you guys. So to start, instead of getting into an advertising technology or a marketing strategy, I want to arm you guys with a really great resource that really set the tone for my business career as an entrepreneur. When I read this book, it really changed the landscape of how I do things. Now, by the time the book came out, I was sort of already pursuing a business career. I'd already been an entrepreneur. I already, had a few projects going. But this is the one thing that really inspired me and focused my abilities. And that was the book, The World is Flat. It's a fantastic book. I've read it actually a few times over the years since, and I go to it for inspiration. Thomas Friedman is a brilliant guy, and he wrote a book that I think all business owners, entrepreneurs, people in any leadership position, any type of commerce-related industry, everyone really, I think, should add this to their library of books that they're consuming. And what this book did for me, it put business in perspective. Up until a certain period of time, I think that there was this notion that big money only came to big companies. And this particular book helped give perspective to everyone that the ability to be successful now is in everyone's hands globally, globalization. And when you read it, you really sort of buy into this sort of theory that everyone, regardless of where you literally are born in the world and what your background is, that everyone has an equal opportunity to be successful because of the resources that has been made available to the world by way of globalization. It's really incredible. And one point I want to put out there for you guys when reading books is, I hate to sort of limit it and to just these two things and whatnot, but reading books could be two things. One, you're reading a book because you want this particular book to contain information, an exact process that you could just copy and paste. There's a template, there's a concept in a book that you could just directly apply, and that's fine, that's good, and that's great, and I've read for that intent. But other times, and for me, this is most often when I read a book, I'm reading something with the intent of being inspired. Sometimes I just need a trigger. I need either a sentence, a story. It could be maybe an entire chapter, but that particular portion of a book or the entire book, it inspires me. It triggers inspiration that leads me to creativity and creating something else of value. And that's what this book, The World is Flat, did for me, is that it inspired me. It triggered an inspiration and it propelled me to ambitiously and aggressively really start pursuing a very serious entrepreneurial business career. It empowered me, really. It empowered me with the ability saying, I can, in fact, do this. And it didn't come from maybe a partial family member, right? But it came from this impartial book And it was from myself. I read the book, it empowered me, and I knew that I can do it as long as I stayed focused. And then over the years, I developed my craft a little bit more, and there were other tools that contributed to it. But that's sort of in episode 1 what I wanted to sort of share with you guys, just to give you guys some context, a little bit of my background. As the show progresses, I'm going to reveal a little bit more about the specifics of my career and projects I've done, a little bit more about my businesses that I have, some of the clients that I work with, and we'll dissect that a little bit more. But I just wanted to give a little bit of context so you guys understand that this is something that I'm very, very much immersed in. Advertising technology is something I'm very, very much immersed in. I deal with it every single day. Marketing strategies is something that I'm very passionate about, something I'm pretty good at, and it's something that I've been doing for a very, very long time. And some people call me like the Facebook guy or the digital marketing guy or the social media marketing guy. But really, I don't consider myself those things. For me, I consider myself like an advertising psychologist. And that's what it really boils down to, is to be able to dissect, human beings, how they interact, how they communicate, how they react, and then how to influence them to make a purchasing decision. And I apply that to sort of all of my spaces in marketing and then also in my selection of various advertising technologies to help me to perform an action the very best that I can for myself or on behalf of my clients. So that's sort of what we're going to be doing for the show. And again, I want to encourage you guys to pick up that book. This is a great place to start. Buy The World is Flat. We've got Amazon, right? Everyone has a Kindle or any type of e-reader. You can probably download the audio version or any type of other digital form of that book right now. It's cheap, probably a couple dollars at this time. I think the book came out in 2005-ish, right around there. So it's been a while. Go to Amazon, spend a couple dollars, invest in yourself. It's the best investment you can make is into yourself. So start this investment now. Get this book. It's awesome. I'll even include a link, a direct link to the book. This way there's no confusion as to what book I'm in fact referring to. I'll include a link in wherever we're going to be posting this. This particular show, Don't Fear Grit, this is going to be in a podcast form. We're also going to take out the script. We're going to do a script form so you can have a blog. We're also going to do video formats as often as we possibly can. So wherever this particular show is going to be posted, we'll include a link to the exact book that I'm referencing right now. Go ahead and grab that book. Read it, keep it, write notes. I like taking my books and I reread them because I'm always putting notes into the sleeves of it, and I'm putting my little dog ears all the time. I mean, it's a great way of sort of referencing back a book. So go ahead and get the book, The World is Flat, which is awesome. Another thing that we want to make available that I made for you guys to start out with is this right here. A social media cheat sheet where what I do is I break down the top 5 social media platforms, and each platform we break down, whether it be a basic level and you're someone who has a very, very limited knowledge of social media and you need the basics, you need this sort of elementary approach to even just setting up an account. We break that down. We also break down other items from even now setting up your page. We give some various specs related to ad dimensions, image dimensions. And then we even get more specific for the people who have a little bit more of a robust knowledge of various social media challenge. We provide even some professional tips that we do ourselves, and we give them away right here. And we outline professional tips for each of the big social media challenges, some best practices. We give even some advanced strategies, marketing strategies outlined for each of the platforms. And it's really broken together pretty nicely. In this book form. I'm holding a physical copy. We do have a physical form of this, but we've also created an ebook format of this, and we're going to be giving this away for free. Remember, the premise of the show is we want to be able to inspire and arm as many people as possible so that they buy into this idea that they can, in fact, be successful with whatever it is that they're passionate about. That whatever line of work that they're in, if they're a manager or they're an owner or they're pursuing something, we want to arm them with the tools that maybe I didn't have when I first started, but arm them and guide them. And this is another really great resource. We want to give it away for free. You could just go to the website. Again, we'll provide a link where you can go ahead and you could just download this for free. But we hope you guys are going to be with us for this entire journey for Don't Fear Grit. It would mean a ton. It would mean a tremendous amount if whatever channel you are consuming this particular show, if you can subscribe, and then if you can go one step further and get someone else to start watching the show by sharing it with them too, that would mean the world to me. The bigger audience and the bigger network that we can build, the greater opportunity we can have to influence a lot of people and impact a lot of people to be successful in their terms with what they're passionate about. So guys, thanks again for tuning into this episode of Don't Fear Grit. I'm your host, Rob Taormina, and we are going to be dissecting marketing strategies and advertising technologies to help you build a better business.